Hey everyone, this is Helena Hart, and I'm back with Dorell today. Deanna is an intuitive love coach and best-selling author, and today I am so excited. We're going to be talking about 5 powerful secrets to attract your soulmate. So welcome, Deanna. Thank you so much for talking with me again today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's good to be back.
For those of you who haven't seen our last interview that we did together, it was on 4 secrets to boosting your confidence and becoming irresistible to men, even if you're feeling insecure. And it got such a great response and so many requests to bring Deanna back on, which I knew would happen because she's amazing and I love everything to say. So here we are. Everyone type in your experiences with this in the comment section as we go along. And Deanna, let's just jump right in. What's the first secret to attracting your soulmate?
Okay, so the first one actually has two sections to it, and it's to create space for them to come in. So literally, I can't tell you how many women I talk to that are still hanging on to the ex, the one that got away. And maybe you're not talking to the ex, but he's still kind of in your space and you're thinking about him all the time. So if you can create a blank space in your mind, in your heart for somebody that's perfect for you, your soulmate to come in, then chances go up exponentially that he will. Because there's something that happens when we go on dates, and you've probably been on the receptive end of it too, where you just feel like for whatever reason the person's unavailable. They may be saying all the right things, they may, you may be very drawn to them, but something about them says I'm just not all here, because they aren't. So the first step is to create space. And then the second part of that is to create literal space. So one of the things that I work with my clients on is creating a love corner in your house. And it's using feng shui and elements of design to really make it open to invite your soulmate in. So my favorite example is, do you have one nightstand or two nightstands? And if you have one nightstand, you're sending that signal out that you just want one night stands, literally. And I had this experience in my dating life early on where I just kept attracting guys that wanted to have sex with me. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And my friend who does feng shui was like, you have one nightstand. There's no room for him to get in. They're just here for one night. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So just really basic, but I didn't see it.
Wow, that is amazing. Actually, I just saw a comment, I believe it was this morning, on one of my other videos asking for, tips on what to do if you keep attracting men who just want to have sex and who don't want to come back over after that first time. So amazing. I totally get what you were saying about, I've been that unavailable person, stuck on an ex, and I've attracted men like that in my past. Yeah. Sure. Do you have any tips? How do you kind of disconnect yourself energetically so you can become available and create that space for your soulmate to step into your life?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of my favorite things to do is to make a list of all of the things that you can now do that maybe you couldn't when you were in that relationship. So it really takes your brain into that, into that space of seeing not just what was wrong with the relationship, but where you may have sold yourself short. So an example would be, now that he's not in my life, I never have to hear him bitching about me going to Sunday brunch with my girlfriends, right? And the things that are, essential to your self-care, to your happiness and joy that maybe you couldn't do, it's really important to notice that. And part of the process is not just remembering the good times, but looking at where you compromised yourself.
That is great. And I'm sure you have so much more. We should probably do a whole another interview on how to
that would be fun.
Right? I can just see how this is a whole topic in and of itself. So that's the first one, creating space. I always talk about creating space, and I like how you're bringing a totally fresh perspective into it, actually creating space in your home and in your environment. I hear from so many women who are really fiercely independent and super strong, successful, ambitious women. They work, 60 plus hours a week. And that's fantastic, right? They're totally kicking ass out there in the world. But there's it's almost this sense where the idea of partnership and inviting someone into their life is almost like a threat to their identity of being an independent person. So I can see where this would really help them too. Is that something you see as well?
Absolutely. And there's almost like this fear, like if I let my soulmate in, right, then I'm going to be completely like enmeshed in the relationship, which is a very masculine fear. But when we're in our masculine energy, that makes total sense. And so, you know, what I would say to those women is when you're in a relationship, a healthy one, you're in interdependence. So you can be super independent in your career and work. And then when you're in partnership, you're interdependent on each other, not codependent. But it's okay for you to need the guy, and it's okay for you to open your heart to him. And that has nothing to do with, you know, you not being strong.
I totally agree. I thank you for saying that. That is fantastic.
Sure.
The video on that one too. I just see that happen so often where it's like the idea of being in a relationship, deep down they feel like they have to give up something or
Yes.
not be able to do all the things they love, and that just couldn't be further from the truth. So I just wanted to mention that. What's the second secret? This is fantastic.
Of course. So the second one is be happy now. So I interviewed actually a poll of happily married couples for like 25 years or more, and all of them said the same thing. They're like, we were happy before we met each other. And I mean, it sounds so cliche, but until you can get to that point of not depending on somebody else, not your friend, your family, or your soulmate for your happiness, then you get to cultivate that and choose that every minute of every day if you want. There's something really attractive and magnetic being around somebody that, you know, is kind of fulfilling their own emotional needs. And, you know, having you in their life is like icing on the cake, but you're not looking for them to fill a void that you can't fill yourself. So be happy now. And, you know, my little like side tip to that is think about a time when you were happy. Even if you're having a really crappy day, it's like when I think of my puppy, Bella, who's like curled up right next to me, I just took her ball away. She's really pissed about that. When I think of her, I just like smile and feel like joyful. And that's the energy that attracts men. It's not scarcity, it's not desperation, it's not emotional neediness. So the more that you can really cultivate that happiness feeling, even when you don't feel it, your brain will start to believe it because it doesn't know the difference.
I totally agree. I talk a lot about this, how we can sometimes even subconsciously look to others to fulfill these like deep unmet needs from childhood within ourselves. And it's so important. I always say, if it doesn't feel good on your way to it, you're not going to feel good when you get there. And something I've
Great.
if someone's not happy within themselves, attracting a partner from that place only like exaggerates the discord, and it doesn't lead to like a healthy, long-lasting relationship. Totally brilliant. Another thing that came up for me when you said that was, it's almost like I imagine someone like creating and designing this relationship they want, moving towards it rather than running away from the loneliness of being single, or running away from happiness towards something that they think is going to like fix them or save them. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And, you know, and I think when we're moving towards something and we're looking to like see what we can give, like what can we offer? So many women I talk to are like, what's he going to give me? Like, what's in it for me? And I'm like, that's important too. But if you're coming from that space of, I'm already happy and I just want to share this happiness and this love that I feel for myself with you, like it's such a different energy and it's irresistible.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, if I always say, like, if you're looking to a man as the source of your happiness, like if you imagine him as like holding the key to something you want, like that he's not giving you the key to your happiness or lovableness or sense of value or being worthy. If he doesn't do what you want, you can take that to mean that you're not worthwhile or lovable, and that's a terrible feeling. Also, you know, a man might be able to give you some validation or reassurance, and it might make you feel good for a little while, but if it's not coming from yourself, if you're not making yourself happy, meeting your own needs first, it's never enough. Like, you're always going to need more and more of it if it's coming from someone else, and eventually you're just going to like crash and burn because you're not going to get any more of it from another human being, right? And so it's like
Totally.
it can't last. So you have to learn to get that happiness your sense of value and being worthy from inside yourself first. So I love all of these. These are so great. What is number 3?
Okay, so number 3 is be clear on your deal breakers and be clear about what you want. So the past is the past for a reason. And there's good qualities, with your past relationships, and there's not so good qualities. Each relationship, I believe, teaches us something about what we want or where we've healed. And so if you know, for example, that you really want children, right? That's super important to you. And you keep attracting men that are like, I never want kids, or I already have kids and they're grown, and you keep pursuing that relationship, you can't be surprised, right, when you start to feel resentful or it combusts in your face 6 months later. So when we betray ourselves, we're actually cutting short, the potential for meeting our soulmate. So it's really important to be honest with yourself about what you want. And it's okay to take that long list and look at all those things and ask, like, which ones can I absolutely not live without? And I always say to my clients, like, pick 3, maybe 5 at the most, that are more based on the kind of lifestyle you want, what's really important to you value-wise, more so than he has to be 6'2", and he has to like make multiple 6 figures. I mean, those things can, they can be there, but if they're not, what if he's 6'1" and he's the perfect guy for you? Like, are you going to really turn that away?
Yeah, I always say look for character, not characteristics. Like, someone
that's great.
height or education. Yeah, look for those character things that are deal breakers. I love that. And it sounds kind of like common sense, but I can't tell you how many clients I've had over the years where, just like you said, they really wanted kids and they'd be chasing after these men who like have had vasectomies and clearly said they're not open to kids, not just one, but like multiple men in that situation. So it's this pushing against of what you want. It's really interesting. We can say we want something so deeply, but we can also be scared of it in a lot of ways, right? If, a true, intimate, connected relationship is really scary for a lot of us. And so that's what keeps us stuck on men who aren't quite doing the job, who are kind of unavailable or hot and cold, or they disappear, right? So,
absolutely. And it's so easy to fall into that pattern of, well, it was just them, it was their fault. And really, it's like, if we ask ourselves, like you said, we're scared to get intimate. We're scared to get close. We're scared for a man to see all the places that we don't think are good enough. But your soulmate is going to want to open those up. And I think there's also this misconception that you don't have any triggers with your soulmate. Like that can't be like more like untrue. Like, the person that's meant to be with you for the long haul is going to want to see the good, bad, and the ugly. And they're going to show you parts of yourself where you're hiding, where you're not in integrity. And that's part of the growth. So,
that is so true. Yeah, totally. We attract people who help us work out some of these deeper issues. So yeah, it can be really complicated. And that's where having a coach or working with someone personally can really, really help. So this is really fantastic, Deanna. These are fantastic tips. I'm loving this so much. What is number 4?
Okay, so number 4 is to stay present on dates. And it kind of dovetails perfectly. So many times, and I've done this myself, we have the list. We even run it by a girlfriend before the date. Like, yeah, girl, this is what you're going to attract. This is what you want. And we're sitting there on a date and the guy's talking and we're in our heads. We're not in our body. We're not present with him. We might be looking at him, but we're scrutinizing, we're analyzing, and we're looking for things where he doesn't check off the boxes. And you get to the end of the date and what do you have? Like, you have a limited knowledge of who this person is. And the crucial time after a date is like the first 3 to 5 minutes after he leaves your presence. I would say keep a notepad in the car or like get your iPhone and just ask yourself, what do I already know about this person? How is my body feeling? And you can't like access that like amazing wisdom that can tell you, what the red flags are and like whether you should go out with him again, even if he doesn't fit the criteria, if you're in your head. So be present.
I love that. That just, it goes perfectly with everything I teach about feminine energy, right? When you're up in your head analyzing, trying to think of what to say next, you're in your masculine energy. When you're in the present moment, I love what you said too, focusing on how you're feeling within yourself, you're in your feminine energy. Amazing. I love it. That can be hard though. Do you have any tools, if you have any tips for like getting out of your head and into the present moment? Because I know it's
Yeah.
I'll struggle with.
Yeah. So, one of the things I always recommend is like before a date is to picture, this kind of sounds silly, but like picture a heart, like right at your head, and just on the exhale. So you're going to take a deep breath in and you're going to see that little heart moving down from your like forehead all the way to your heart space. And you just imagine it. I call it the elevator, like the heart elevator. So you see it going down and just like see what it feels like. Usually women will tell me it feels warm, it feels like cozy here. And then take another deep breath and send it all the way down to like maybe 2 inches above your belly button. And this is the space of our women's intuition, our knowing. And so on a date, ideally you're vacillating between your heart and this knowing place. And then your lovely logic can come in and say, okay, like we've made the decision to go out with him again. When do we want to see him? The head is great for details and like actions. But most of us live from here and then try to like maybe check in with how we feel, but we rarely go further. And so that's like the core of my work, is helping women to access their inner wisdom so that you do less work and you're attracting and magnetizing with a whole lot less energy.
Oh my gosh, I love that. It's similar. I have something I have my clients do sometimes is like imagine all their spinning thoughts in their head, or if they're analyzing the situation and dropping your thoughts down into that area. I really love what you said too. Do you have any tips on, one question I get all the time from women is, how do I distinguish between my intuition and maybe just fear and wanting to shut down because, you know, there is a risk of true emotional intimacy here. It sounds like
Yeah.
what I hear you saying is when you're down in this space, it's more coming from your intuition. Up in your head might just be your fear talking, or I'd love to hear anything you have to say on that.
Yeah, it could be fear, it could be ego, or even wishful thinking, right? So like the fantasy is up here.
Oh yeah, that's
But the easiest way that I can distinguish it for you guys is a message from your intuition is emotionally neutral. It might not be the most pleasant news you want to hear, but it's like, it doesn't really have an emotional opinion about it. It's like, it would be nice for you to, you know, ask him another question about his childhood. Like it'll say something like that and it'll be repetitive. Most of the time when we're in our head or we're in our ego, we have an attachment to an outcome. We have expectations and there's like a weight behind it, and they can change on a dime because our emotions change on a dime, right? So it might tell you what not to do. And I always say your intuition will move you towards something, like we were talking about earlier, like moving towards what you want versus moving away or from what you're fearing. It's the same thing. So your intuition will tell you what to do or like affirm something, and your fear voice will tell you to not do something or avoid it.
wow. I just learned something that I've never would say that before. That I love that. I get so excited when I hear someone talk about something like a brand new way. So yeah, we love hearing from you too. Type your questions in for Deanna about intuition. She's like a total expert on this topic. Again, I think we should probably do a whole other video just on that.
That would be super fun.
Huge. I would love to hear everything you have to say on that. Maybe next time, that would be amazing. So perfect. I love that. And what is secret number 5 for attracting your soulmate?
All right. So the last one is be sweet, but have standards. So what I mean by that is men pay attention to our tone, like more than our words. They pay attention to our energy and how we're showing up. So even if you're clear you don't want to go out with him again, you can still be kind. You can still be sweet. And at the same time, you have standards for how you want to be treated. So if he crosses the line, you're not afraid to say so through your actions or even inaction. One of the most effective tools that I have with my clients is, if he's doing something that is a boundary violation, don't respond. like just like nothing. Silence is so much more powerful than trying to explain why he's like violating your boundary. They really
Oh my
don't care.
gosh. So true. Sorry, I just had to jump in and say how true that is. Yeah, men respond to distance and silence and your energy and vibe and behavior much more than their words. One mistake I see women make all the time is a man steps over a boundary, maybe accidentally, but you know, it happens over and over. And she just has endless conversations with him about it. She doesn't follow it up with any action, right? Oh my gosh, can you talk some more about that? I'd love anything else you'd have to say on this last
Yeah.
being sweet but having standards, I think is totally brilliant.
Yeah. So, you know, especially with communication, if he's not like texting fast enough, I mean, this is a common complaint I hear, like, why is he taking forever to get back to me? It's like, if you can stay in that energy of, you know, expecting the best and also not attaching your well-being and happiness to whether he responds at the exact moment you want him to, then he's probably going to feel that space and want to do anything he can to please you. Like this happened the other day, actually, with my partner. He thought I was angry at him because I didn't immediately respond to a picture that he sent from Disneyland. And he's like, I thought you were angry at me. Like you didn't respond. And I'm like, I didn't see it. I've been like working at my computer, but he'd created all this stuff in his head. So men really do respond to silence, and they respond to your actions more than your words. Less is more. And if you do have to have a conversation, please, for the love of Goddess, do not start it with, we have to have a talk. Like, men will automatically shut down. They'll automatically go into defense mode and you won't hear the truth. So saying something like, hey, like, you know, there's something that I'm really excited to share with you. And then, you know, it makes him curious. Well, what is that? And then I would say, start with a compliment, like start with something you appreciate about him, and then go into whatever the issue is, using the language of we, right? Like, and then the most important part is like, what do you think about that? Ask him what he thinks. When you like engender that like a male energy to try to solve the problem, or, you know, it basically sends a signal that he's important. His opinion is valuable, and you haven't come to a conclusion. You don't know. You're just in this space of, I don't know, this is like coming up for me. What do you think we should do about it? It's very powerful.
So powerful. Yeah, I always have women, there's a template of, you know, expressing how you feel, maybe telling him what you don't want, and then asking what he thinks. That keeps you in your feminine energy. From my perspective, asking a man what he thinks is like an invitation for him to step into his masculine energy and help solve the problem, right? So many times we think, okay, we have to like give him solutions and you know,
Yes.
and solve it, right? But I've certainly found that men are much more invested in doing something differently if they feel like they were part of it, like it was partly their idea, not something that we told them to do, and then they feel it's an obligation, right?
Totally. And nobody wants to feel obligation energy, and it just creates space for resentment. So be sweet doesn't mean be fake. It just means be kind, and also really, really clear in what your standards are.
Yeah, I totally agree. Can we do an example for this? One thing I keep seeing over and over in the comment sections of a lot of my videos is their man is hot and cold, and one of the number one questions I get is, do I say something? Do I bring it up? Or do I just keep creating space? And I have my own ideas about that. Obviously, every situation is so different, right? But I'd love to hear from you on that.
Yeah.
Do you have do you want to take us through that example, or what would you have to do in that situation?
Okay, so this is a funny example, but it really did happen. So my friend's husband, she had been wanting to fix this one cabinet in her kitchen forever. And the guy kept saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get to it, babe, but whatever. She got so frustrated. So she called her best friend's husband to come over and fix it with her best friend. They just like made this casual thing. But her husband is watching another man fix his cabinet. he was in there. He's like, man, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it right away. And from that point on, he was first in line to fix anything she needed. And it's a subtle technique, but it's powerful. Instead of directly saying like, why don't you do this? I've been telling you for like 3 weeks and you said you're going to do it. I'm really pissed off. She was like, okay, I'm not expecting you to fulfill my needs. So let me just call some other guy. Like she could have called anyone. But the fact that it wasn't him, like affected him at the male ego level and made him want to step up. So it's a silly example, but that's the first thing I thought of when you said that. Like, you don't need to go head on all the time. As women, we're just like, we want to be direct. We want to just tell him we're mad. And depending on what he has going on, he might not be receptive to hear you. So see, is there another way I can get this solved? And is it really that big a deal? Like on the spectrum of importance, is it a deal breaker or is it just this annoyance? And if you keep picking up his socks and feeling resentful, then maybe leave his socks there. See what happens.
I've totally had clients do that. Like, let the trash pile up and just don't constantly, just see what happens. Be surprised. Allow yourself to be surprised. Very, very important. I love that example. Thank you so much for sharing that. Would you mind recapping the 5 secrets and then talk about your free gift that you have for everybody?
Yes. So 5 soulmate secrets. The first one is to create space for him to come in, energetic space, letting go of your ex, and then also physical space. So he feels comfortable and welcome in your home. And then the second one is to be happy now without him and with him. And then the third is to be clear on your deal breakers and what it is that you want. Number 4 is to stay present on dates, stay out of your head as best as you can. And then 5 is to be sweet, but have standards.
I love it. Amazing. So for everyone watching, if you'd like another video on one of these secrets, I can kind of see how each one could be its own topic, because I'm sure we have so much to say on all of those. What is your free gift? I know this is a different one than you offer.
Yeah. So I kept seeing the same situations with my clients, trying to attract their soulmate, coming up against like walls, sometimes internal walls, sometimes literal roadblocks. And so I put together a free email course. It's a 5-day email course called Soulmate, and it's how to attract the love that you want and feel happy, adored, and free. And it's going to guide you through 5 tools that I take every client through. Anything from your, how to trust your intuition. I mean, you got a sample of that here, but I will take you through a specific exercise to really ramp it up, so you're not wasting your time and attracting the same guy with a different face.
I love that. And for those of you who got Deanna's free gift from our last one, this is a totally different one, right?
Yep, it's totally different. Totally different.
Okay, so make sure to get both, because I'm sure they're both amazing. I'm definitely going to check them myself. And is there any last words of wisdom or tips that you'd like to share before we close out today on any more tips for attracting your soulmate?
It's just to trust in the timing. Trust that everything that's happening right now is supposed to be happening, and it's happening for your benefit, even the frustrating stuff. So you never know what could be going on behind the scenes. And I always say, what you want also wants you. So this yearning and desire that you have for your soulmate, he's already feeling that. He's already here. It's just a matter of, all the things lining up, and you don't have to do anything to force or control that. It's all good.
That's one of my favorite out there. It's helpful for me personally in every area of my life. For those of you who've been watching my videos, I can struggle with impatience and urgency, right? And we all kind of can. It's a really common thing. So thank you so much for sharing that. This was amazing, Deanna. Thank you so much. For everyone watching, I'm going to post her link to her free gift in the description right below this video. We love hearing from you. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section, and we will see you next time. Deanna, thank you so much again.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.